So where have you guys seen calls work the best? Like where do you think we've tried different campaigns with all of you guys, but just in general, where do you think calls have fit best?
I'll go since I think I probably have the most unique profile of anybody. I've had Complete U do phone call outreach for every one of my populations, and we've had Complete U work on grad, undergrad, a little bit of our regional campuses. Like I mentioned at the top of this, I didn't see phone outreach really working with my counselors. And so I started to wonder, was it that people didn't want the phone outreach, or was it the timing, right? Is it the effectiveness of the call, or is it the volume of the call? Were they making too many calls, or were they just not being effective when they were doing those calls? And what I really started to find was that they just weren't being effective. We cannot call an undergraduate student between the hours of 8 and 2 p.m., sometimes 4 p.m., depending on the high school that they're attending. But oftentimes my counselors were calling them at that time. Well, of course, they're not going to answer the phone. They're in math class. They're not going to be able to pick up the phone because they'll get sent to the principal's office or whatever else it is. And so we had to really understand structuring those phone calls. And that was just a training opportunity that we had. It was training folks on what is going to work and what isn't going to work. We saw on the grad side, sometimes somebody would pick up the phone around noon, but also they were most likely on the grad side to pick up the phone while they were driving home from work to their family. And that was really the sweet spot for us and some of the data that we got from Complete U, that they started to see that that sweet spot was that after work hour when people were oftentimes traveling home or getting into that next thing. And that was the only time they really had to themselves as a grad student, that they were traveling to their family and they really only had that bit of time to have a conversation with us about what their next steps for graduate school would be.
Yeah, I think, one of the things we've noticed, and we've done a couple of campaigns with y'all and we've done our own on calls as well, is it's when there's very one specific call to action, I think is the best, clearest example. This is why we're calling you today, is to get you to finish your application, or this is why we're calling you today to get you to go to an event. But when you do both of those, oh, well, you need to do your application, and you need to do your event, then it becomes this more complicated conversation. And there's, students I think are left saying, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do next. And I think kind of fall out of that communication. So we've really seen, that call to action, one specific reason I'm calling you because doing this. And then, I think our habit is to make sure we cover all the bases at one time. That's kind of an enrollment thing. I got to get them in, I got to get the deposit, I got to do all these other things. Let's get them to finish their app. We can follow up with them later and ask them to do the campus visit. We can follow them later, ask them to do a deposit. But yeah, just really honing in on that one thing. Where are you in the cycle? What do you need to have them do right now?